Good morning, all. You ever feel like the market gives you some information and then tries to push you directly opposite of that information sometimes? Kind of feeling like that after yesterday. Not that these broader market indices have negated that nasty down move, that huge wide range bar that we're looking at here on the S&Ps, and that is across many of the other markets and ETFs. And my expectation was that there would be some stability after such a downward move. However, the NASDAQ, which has been showing relative strength, came back strong again. So the question is, can it actually negate such a move to the downside? Well, I can't say that it can't, because anything is possible in the markets. However, some things are just hard to believe that they are possible. And I've been in that situation in the past, and to see it is possible. So you never say never when it comes to the market. So, we've got the weekly chart here having made, or the beginning of, a lower high, slowing momentum. It's still in an uptrend. We're just going to have to get more information into next week, and we'll see where today ends. As you can see, the markets are up a little bit here. The S&Ps are up almost 7. And as I look at the 30-minute, 24-hour chart and the move that happened yesterday, remember in yesterday's video I talked about this downward move and setting a reference point up at this prior high, and then prices pushed up through it. It attempted to, made a higher low, and then pushed higher, and then basically has gone nowhere. So where's it going to go from here? Is this now going to turn into a double top, or can it get some legs and get going to the upside here? Well, that's the unknown, and that's what we're going to see as the day develops. Now, looking over at the NASDAQ, you can see that big giant down bar, and look at the difference here, and just looking at support and resistance reference points. Prices pushed up through what was resistance and then found support there. Nothing fancy. Just what was resistance became support. Buyers stepped up, pushed it up. And here's the same concept of slowing momentum, meaning look at the blast off. Nice pullback to an area of minor support, but then barely takes out the high. And then begins to pull back, and then the day just kind of drifted into nowhere. And now we're just sitting here kind of, okay, can we really get things going to the upside? Now, something to take away or understand from these big, giant down bars here is that while they're powerful, they suggest continuation, and I'm not of the belief yet that it's not going to continue down. However, I do know that that kind of a big down move creates what I call a price void, meaning this type of momentum to the downside creates an area where there's no reference point of resistance. There was this little stall there which turned into a measured move to the downside. But at this point, now that prices came up to it and tested it, and it's actually building some support here. And it has built that support. So the question is it going to hold and go higher? Will it break lower? Right, so right now it's beginning to trend up against this big, ugly down bar, which I don't want to bet against. I'd rather wait to see if this double tops and rolls over. However, there's nothing to stop it from going higher here. It's just like is this one of those situations where the market can shake off that nasty downward move there? Now, looking back in the past, and you see a big, ugly red bar right here. It's similar. It's not quite as big. However, you had the same type of reversal the next day, which we had yesterday, and then it stalled, and then there was a retest. So what do you understand from this? What should you understand is that when a stock or a market experiences such a negative effect of a move to the downside like that, that damage can be repaired through time and price action. So here you had an attempt to go lower. It was rejected. That creates a little support area. And then when it was retested and formed the bottoming tail bar, well, then you have more of a situation where that, as I said, the damage has been repaired, that negative reaction has been dissipated. So do we get that here? So what we would look for is, okay, the market stalls here. Maybe it could come down here and even make a lower low and then maybe push up. That would make a lot more sense. So we'll see if that all plays out in the coming week. Oil is acting pretty darn well here. It came up to this resistance area, which was in alignment, right there with that resistance and those moving averages coming together, and it's pushing up this morning. So that's looking good, and here you have that same situation of a price void because of the momentum move to the downside. Overall, the weekly chart really doesn't look so great, but as a short-term trade, this does look like it could go higher. Bonds, which I've talked about and told you, watch this area right here. If this bonds begin to hold here and start to move up, the market is going to experience, equity markets are going to experience some downward pressure. And we actually saw that, as you know. And now they've stalled here. They're coming up into this resistance area. So we'll see if they can actually get up here or not. Right now, this morning, they're really doing absolutely nothing. Now, talking about, the market giving or stock giving some information, well, and then taking it away the next day or making you question that. There's a couple of things to take into consideration. One of them, as I look at the stocks that have been showing relative strength, and I guess the expectation would be that they would come back the strongest in a relief day, if you will. Can they get it completely turned around? So I look at a stock like NVIDIA, which is way extended here. If you're into the names of candlesticks, a hangman, and then what do they call that? An evening star, or I guess that's a doji. I don't know. I'm not big on names. I just look at the patterns, and I suggest you do too. Just look, upward, 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 gap up, gap down, close at the low. Many times it just follow through, but obviously, as you know, yesterday was a huge down day, or day before yesterday was a huge down day in the markets. Here we have the, a relief, which is a deep retracement into that big red bar, and we could say it's on the edge of actually negating it. And, here's the 24-hour chart, and prices are right up into this resistance area here. So we'll see what the reaction is to that. It's quite a bullish pattern in that, we had a head and shoulders top forming, and that's been negated and pushed to a new high. So it does suggest it can go higher, but probably needs some backing and filling, and we'll see what happens there. Then here's another one, LRCX, gap to a new high, back down again, reversed. It's up against resistance here, and we'll see if this can chop around sideways or whether it's going to pull in. Another one we'll keep an eye on. Almighty Amazon, which looked like it was on its way to 1,000. It didn't go unscathed from the broader market sell-off, but it reversed its red day completely, and it's up a little bit here. Looks like a little bit pre-market, but we'll see what that does. Still grinding higher. Facebook, which got clobbered, coming close to its 50 MA and just about negating that red bar yesterday. So here, these situations where finally pullbacks, in these NASDAQ stocks that have been leading. Google, same type of situation. Extended, new high, gap down, bearish pattern short term, even within an uptrend. It's a bearish pattern, but can it survive this and repair the damage? I'm just going to look at the cues here. As I look at this type of pattern, again, big, ugly down day on big volume, breaking through support. Can it negate that? Seems hard to believe that's possible. I know it is. But it's more probable that it chops around here and then it rolls back over again. Spiders, obviously look a little worse, and probably the worst of all And it's rare to see a market shake off the transports being so negative. I have seen it play out for a while, but unless these transports get turned around, sooner or later, the market will take notice of this, or put this and other things that will come together as to negative occurrences in the market where other markets are not participating. So we've got the transports now having broken support. They're in a downtrend, lower highs and lower lows. They're stabilized at the 200 MA, and we shall see. If they go sideways here, well, that'll be even a worse sign, and they'll roll back over again. So, all right, that's it for today, guys. Happy Friday. Have a good trading day. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll talk on Monday.